All right, so I'm going to start out by making the colors that I see in the glass. So I see some bright orange, I see some muted orange, and by making that, I will take blue and add it to the orange, because as we know, adding a color's complement to that color mutes that color a little bit. So I will do that for the bottom of the glass, or the middle of the glass, I suppose you could call it, because that's a muted version. So I'm going to reserve some of this orange for that purpose, and I'll put it over here for right now. Then I have blue, which I probably will add to make it more of a gray blue in the middle, which I think I can do by adding orange too. Let's try. Yeah, just by adding a little bit of orange into the blue, it's now made it a muted blue. It's not as bright, it's a little more gray. I might just add a little bit of the peach into it so it becomes a little, kind of cools it down just a little bit more. I think that's what I wanted for the inside of the glass. There's some of that blue gray in there. It's definitely brighter blue outside of the glass, and it's a bluish gray in the middle. So I'm just preparing my colors right now. You're probably gonna ask yourself, where do I start? I don't even know where I start. I'll tell you where you're gonna start. You're gonna start around the shape of the bottom of the glass. So think about the negative space around the bottom of the glass. So I'm following along with my brush and my eyes, the very edge of the border of the cup, the glass, the book that's behind it. If you want to draw the glass, the outside of the glass first before you start, that's okay, but with your pencil, do it super lightly so that you can paint over it and no pencil will show up. I'm going to go into these blue spaces right here where I can see through the glass onto the blue fabric. I'm going to make it a little bit cloudier because you are looking through the glass in these spots, so it's not as bright blue. And this blue that I have does not match exactly the blue in the painting, and that's okay too, as long as I'm getting the reference of where it is cloudier looking, where it's muted, where it's more gray. As long as I'm changing that, then I'll be okay. It does not have to be perfect, it does not have to be perfectly matched to the color. We're going to get into those kinds of perfect matching of colors later, assignments later. So I'm going to pretend like the rim of the glass is completely white, and I'll fill that whiteness in later. And I'm working on the shape of the spaces that I see. I see this little half moon shape inside the glass here. And then this little half moon up here, and then this little sliver right here. So I've mapped those out. Now what I'm going to do is to go down in here and map out that curved round side where the glass gets rounded. Basically, I'm going to do that because I see that as blue and then a little bit of orange. You're seeing parts. You're just trying to see the colors as shapes. They might just be lines, a certain line of color, but you got to put that line of color in. If you see it, it exists. Don't think of it like a glass, think of it like shapes. Then I see a little spiraling happening in here, a little optical illusion spirally thing happening. So I'm going to, again, follow where I see the blue and go with it. Following, I can look just at the glass and not, or if a picture if you're working with a photo. And sometimes that helps, not looking at your painting while you're doing this. I'm going back over here on this curve. I see a little bit lighter blue that's next to a darker blue, and I'm going to lay that down. I feel like the curve I made here is like too bulgy on this side, and I can fix that later with the orange paint. I don't have to worry about that at the current moment. So I'm trying to see where else in the glass I see this lighter blue, and I can put that down wherever those spaces are. I think what I'm going to do is do the rim. I'm going to start working on the rim right here so I know where that is. The rim here, the curve here, should mimic the curve here. And right now it's looking kind of wonky. I think it's because of over here. And that's okay, I'm going to let that dry and I can fix that. I challenged myself and started drawing with my paintbrush, which can be good and also can be very challenging. There's definitely a light gray that exists all the way through the bottom of that rim, the bottom curve of that rim. So even if I mess up with other colors later, I can just put this shape in now. So I drew in, or I drew the negative space. I painted the negative space around the rim first, and now I'm going back in and kind of going on top and fixing what I had. Basically, it wasn't completely correct, and that's what's good about painting, is you can just layer on top once it dries. This curve here needs to look just like that curve. They need to mirror each other, and this curve's a little too closed and this is more open. So I can fix this just by taking out some of this dark on the edge there. Kind of opens it up a little bit more. Now it's a little more pleasing and it makes more sense to me. Don't think of it like a glass. Pretend as if this is just a bunch of colors you're trying to put down on the canvas. I'm sorry, the paper. I can fix this curve on the bottom a little bit by now adding orange to it. I don't see much of this orange past this corner, so I should not make it orange over here because this rim doesn't have orange going this way. It's touching the edge of the orange. So I need to actually correct this line with blue. If I were to draw, I need to draw a straight line going through this ellipse on the top right now. So let's pretend my brush is a perfectly straight line from the top. It's not crooked with the paper. So I have, with my ellipse for the glass, I need to make sure there's equal amount of ellipse over here. There's a half moon over here and there's a half moon over there. This needs to be the same distance. Looks pretty good, but if I put a straight line all the way through, see what's going on at the bottom? I have too much space over here and not enough space over here. This space is pretty good. These are equal. It's this bottom that's messing me up. So I guess I would suggest drawing it first. I was just trying to challenge myself. Didn't really work out. But for you guys, just draw real quick. this distance is 2 of these. Oh, maybe 2.5. 1, 2, yeah, 2.5. So I took this distance and kind of went like this in space and measured it out. Right now it's 3. There's 3 of this distance in here, when actually it should be 2.5. So that means that this is not, this distance is too short. It's okay. I don't know why I'm making that sound a lot. So I'm gonna just lighten this area up down here and extend the glass farther down. I see a strip of, there's like a strip of light, it almost looks like a greenish color to me, or a yellow, right in here in the middle, and then it goes darker blue, and then it goes lighter blue. So keeping that in mind, those stripes that exist, I'm just going to let that dry and I'll go back to that and fix that. What I'll do now is work in here. So I see that there's some curves kind of going around like this. I'll start first by putting in that little reflection of the bottom edge of the page of the book. It's like right here. Put that in, and then I'll fill in the blue. It's like a grayish blue, the same blue that exists for up here. So that happens under this lip right here. There's a little sliver of orange on that rim. When I say lip, it's the same word as rim, I guess. So that goes down. There's a glare right here. So I finish, I kind of drop it back down here. Then there's another curve like that. Start thinking of the little blobby shapes as like little rivers, I guess. Which way is the river going? So I'm just sort of figuring out, if this was the edge of the shoreline, where would this be? If I was up in a plain and this was a body of water, what would it look like? And if you start looking at shapes like that, like little land masses, just in general, if anything, you're trying to paint, you'll be able to paint it more realistically by trying not to think about what it is, just looking at the shape. Okay, and then I have another little area of that blue right here, and then a straight line across. That's the edge of the book, reflecting inside the glass. That. This was where the reflection ended the blue in that spot, but I can see the blue extends. This blue extends down here a little bit more because that reflection doesn't affect right here. So I'm going to go out just a little bit more right there. And then I see another little ripple. I guess it's like a ripple too. Ripple of water, like right there. And then on the other side of the reflection, there's a little bit of blue in here, like that. The same blues above the rim. I'm basically painting the rim and making it look nicer by finishing what's above it and below it for color. Then this, what I see on this side here, this little swoop, which I need to fix a little bit, that goes on the other side of the rim right here and then continues over, so it kind of looks like it's blue, white, blue. And again, it's not perfectly white in some spots, and I'll go back. That little arc right here that seems like it's white needs a little adjustment. like that. And then it extends on the other side of the rim here. This continues. I know that this rim right here is lighter blue than that blue. So it's not perfectly gray. There's some blue in it. So I need to bring blue back in there. I noticed that there's a little spot right here that I missed, a little tail of blue that comes in. You're going to start noticing things that you got to change over time, and that's totally fine. Stop thinking of this as a glass and start thinking of it as like a strange, colorful blob with a ring, ring around it. You're going to update your shape as you go for sure. Things are going to change on you. This does not have to be a perfect picture image of what you're looking at, okay? So please don't get too discouraged. You're just pretending like this is not a glass and you're just seeing areas of color. It's definitely brighter blue out here than it is in here. So I made it too dark. And if that happens to you, that's okay. Just take whatever brighter color you needed and put it on top. For the really white highlight parts, I tried to reserve, like it's really white right here, so I'm not going to touch that spot at all. I might have gone over what was really white right here, and that's okay. I can try to go over it with white later. But if you can reserve some space for highlights, just, you know, do that if you can. So I'm working on like the in-between stuff going on here and here. And the colors that I see are definitely muted oranges and grays and some blues in that space. I'm just, that's the complex part, is right here. I'm just gonna try to do that. And if it works, that's great. If it doesn't work, that's fine too. But I'm gonna try. I see some rings of like ripples of the browns and cream colors in here. Oh, I forgot to put the orange right there. I'm gonna put that gray line in that exists on top of the blue. This one. Put that in first, and then I'll put the orange in just so that's there. So right above that orange mountain, there's a little cream line, cream color line that wraps around and kind of comes out down here as white. Looks like white on this side. And then there's a gray line above that. It'd be better if my paint was more opaque at this point. And then there's another, there's more like a bluish over here. Then there's gray again right here. Then there's red. I don't know where the red came from, but I guess we'll put it in. A little bit of red right there. I don't know, it's kind of a muddy mess in there. And that's okay. Don't worry about it. There's some browns going on over here for some reason. Try your best. Think of it like a little, like an oil puddle. You're like, what color is that in that little oil puddle? There's like a teeny tiny amount of white right here to separate this orange, muted orange, from that bright orange. So I'm going to put that in. Don't forget to change up your water. If it's looking kind of muddy and your color's frustrating to you, it's probably because your water's dirty. So in this orange space in here, I kind of see that some of the area is cloudier than others, and I'm just going to focus on the cloudy parts. So as I'm laying down the orange, I can go in with my peach that I have kind of sitting over here, and I can put some peach down. Mix it in as I go. Again, don't think too much about this, and don't be hard on yourself, okay? The more you think about this as being a glass and it needs to be accurate, the more frustrated you're gonna get. So please don't. Just go with it, try your best, step away from it for like 10 minutes if it's really frustrating you, go back to it. There's a lot more peach over here, like a cloudy orange, I guess I would say it would be called. So I'll kind of lay that down first. Or next, put some more kind of peach over here. The blue actually travels all the way down to the rim. It just becomes less blue as it goes, so I need to fix that spot. Then I need to fix this area of blue. It's not as, doesn't go down as far. And if my paint isn't as opaque as it should be in spots, it's going to see through. You're going to see through to what you have underneath, so try to fix that. I don't really see this white space here, so I'm going to close that up. And here it gets kind of transfers over to orange from blue. So I'm going to find an in between blue and orange, or like a muted orange that I had before. So a little bit of blue will change it. I might actually take some of the white that I put down and start putting into places that I know are white and are currently covered in a color. So I'll take my white and I'll go over here and I'll look for this highlight right here. There's some white up here on the rim around right here. Put that back in. This is a light blue right here, so I'll fill that in. This is not a white either. It's just a really, really light blue. If I went too much in a spot with that light, I can just go back with a blue and kind of correct it. Oh, there's a little sliver of orange that reflected inside that, the rim down here, and also up here there's orange. So now I'm getting into the fine details. I started out with bigger shapes of color, added those, filled in the space between those bigger shapes, and now I'm going to the finer details. I notice that over here there's kind of like a hazy orange that happens in this space. Oh, I missed a spot. That's orange. You're going to start seeing spots you missed, and that's okay. I'll put that orange in. It's more of a muted muted orange, not the bright orange that I have for the outside. So it's like more of the brownish orange that goes in that spot. And there's a little bit there, and there's a little bit right here. I start seeing more little spots as I go. Yep, there's some over there. There's some right there. There's definitely a highlight in there. Then there's some more over here. Then I'll go back with my gray. Might see some more gray that kind of swoops in this way. Just keep looking at your painting and then look back at the glass, look at your painting, look at the glass. If you've taken a picture, look at the painting, look at the picture. See if there's anything you're missing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Please don't think it needs to be perfect. You just have to sort of get the overall shape and color placement in a general sense, not in a specific sense. Again, I'm going to work as stripes. I see there's like a more of a yellowy stripe in there. You can change the puddle wherever you are. If the paint's still wet, you can put some lighter color on top or whatever you need to do to get it to blend. To see if there's any major things I need to adjust. Like right here, this is a little wonky, so I'll take my light green and kind of curve it a little bit more. And this dip's a little too weird, so I'll just sort of fix that over here like that. I think there's a brown in there that I missed. Take a break from your painting, come back to it, see if there's a shape that doesn't make sense and you can adjust it. You can always rehydrate. I feel like this dark area pops out a little bit more this direction, like past this gray line, like right over here. So I'll extend that a little bit. Now I feel like I've gone too dark, and that's okay too. Before it dries, you can always just take a lighter blue and blend it back to kind of in between. Maybe I'll look back and see if there's any highlights I need to fix with the white now that I put some more down.